Hey, and welcome to Glaring Admissions. I'm your host, Nick, and this is a show about watching and discussing iconic, seminal movies that myself or my co-host Raekwon have never seen before. On today's episode, we're talking about Scream from 1996, I want to say.
1996.
Nice, and it is a Wes Craven flick that I've never seen before. This is my first time.
Yeah, I have seen it, but it's been forever since I've seen it. I saw it as a kid, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the prereqs for the show. If you haven't seen something in such a long time, it doesn't count if you can't remember it. Before we get started with the movie itself, though, I do want to do some house cleaning and say we are going to talk spoilers. So if you haven't seen Scream and you care about who the killer is or anything like that, consider either not watching this or not caring.
Consider not caring because it came out in 1996.
Well, we're not going to tell you what to do, but consider not.
Consider perhaps not.
No, in all seriousness, I think personally the twist isn't even like a big deal in the movie.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter, but we are saying, spoilers. And if you have seen Scream, let us know what you think of this movie, as well as kind of like your history with the franchise. Did you see it in theaters when it came out? Do you watch it at like your first slumber party? Stuff like that. I don't know. So anyway, Scream.
Right now?
Yeah. Just both of us launch into just cuts to the Michael Jackson video from 95.
See, this is a good time for if you had seen Scary Movie. We talked about this off camera that you had never seen Scary Movie.
Yep.
You cut to the boyfriend who it's a Prince joke and he's screaming like Prince.
Oh, really?
Balcony. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll cut to that really quick.
Look, I'm calling the cops.
Oh, okay. All right.
We've already got an MJ and a Prince joke in. This is like the best episode as far as I'm concerned. Scream, 1996, Wes Craven. Basic plot of the movie. There's a killer.
Now I want to scream now.
That was the plot of the movie. There's a killer. He's going around. He's killing, as killers do.
Yeah.
And it's up to Neve Campbell and I almost called her Monica and Courtney Cox to figure out who it is and not die. That's basically the gist of it, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
The Fonz is in there for a few minutes.
He is in there. He plays an eccentric principal. I love how in the few scenes that he's in, the one time where you get like a really good idea of like how he is when he's making the announcement over the PA. He's like, "Remember, kids, your principal loves you, and we're enacting a curfew."
Yeah, I love. Apparently, he was like a later addition to the script or something. It totally shows.
Yeah.
It's 100%. Hey, we need an excuse to get the kids out of the house at the end of the movie, and also we need a kill halfway through the movie because there's no other reason for him to die or even be in the film. So. I loved it. And I love Henry Winkler. Like, this is 100% his era where he was just doing like whatever. I think he was in like Happy Gilmore around this time too.
When did
or was that the one with him in it? Happy Gilmore?
I've never seen Happy Gilmore.
Oh no, you know what? It's The Waterboy.
Yeah.
He's
probably
the Waterboy.
Yeah, about that time. Yeah.
Anyway, back to Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So, bit of background about this movie. It was a huge hit when it came out. The studio didn't expect it to be that big of a hit because they actually released it like on December 20th or something. A little late for this kind of movie. And they were like, it'll probably do okay. It did a lot more than okay. I mean, we're coming up on, I think they're making a 7th one now. Yeah,
they're on 6 or 7. I think I saw Scream 5.
Scream 5 was just called Scream, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And then Scream 6 was the one with what's-her-face in it.
Jenna Ortega?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I saw.
So I haven't seen any of these. I'm actually going to be watching more of the series next week.
I want to watch Scream 2. I'd seen Scream 2 before too. Like I have memories of that, but I think because I remember Jada Pinkett and Omar Epps are in that one.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch the rest of the series. I enjoyed this movie enough that I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna like give the rest of these fucking things a shot. But as far as this first movie goes, yeah, it was like a huge hit. No one was expecting it to be. But then horror was kind of winding down a little bit. The formula of the slasher film had kind of exhausted itself. And ironically, like they show a stupid amount of Halloween in this movie. Yeah. It's like the slasher movie. And this turned it around. It actually revitalized the genre. Because of this movie, we actually got more Halloween sequels, and like we got I Know What You Did Last Summer, which I saw last year and I thought it was fine, pretty good horror movie.
Yeah,
you know, Buffy is in it. What's
is.
her face? God, I forgot her name.
Is her name Jennifer?
No, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, I knew it was 3 names. Who's Jennifer Love Hewitt?
That's not her.
Yeah, I don't know. I knew it was somebody with 3 names.
We're just gonna put up 2 pictures.
Yeah. It might be like a fucking R&B singer or something.
No, it is an actor.
It is? Okay.
But anyway, you know, it kind of revitalized the genre. It gave us a bunch more of these slashers. It shifted the genre back towards like teenagers getting killed.
Yeah.
Funnest demographic to get killed, by the way, in movies. My hot take, if you're going to kill someone in a slasher movie, it has to be a teenager.
That's your hot take?
My hot take is teenagers have just like enough of a developed prefrontal cortex to know how to stay alive creatively and to do stupid shit at the same time.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
You feel bad for them because it's like, oh, come on, they're dumb teenagers. If it's a person with a fully formed prefrontal cortex, you're just like, yeah, you kind of deserved that.
Yeah.
You're fucking 30. Why are you making out in a car in Death Murderer Row's Peak? But, you know.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to ask you, we talked about this before a little bit, but you know, this movie, it's kind of like not making fun of, but highlighting some of the things about the horror genre, like slasher films.
Yeah.
You know, by having characters like, I believe was his name Jamie Kennedy, the guy that was the movie buff that was teaching everyone the rules of horror movies.
Ray.
Ray? Okay. He was the one where it was kind of like he's speaking directly to the audience, you know, and for this one, you know, a lot of horror movies are predictable. At what point did you predict who the killer was?
Okay, so for a good share of the movie, I thought it was Stu and Ray. And I actually had a note. I remember I watched the movie twice. I watched it last week and then I kind of half rewatched it yesterday. But I remember distinctly the first time I watched it, the first scene where Stu and Ray were out like during lunch or whatever, and they were talking and they were doing like liver jokes, like liver alone.
Yeah.
I wrote the note, these two have one shared brain cell between them, and one of them, at least one of them, is definitely the killer.
I was telling you that in my notes, I was like, Billy is the craziest dude I've ever seen in my life. Like, he looks crazy. He looks like a psycho for most of the movie, which I imagine is intentional because they give him all these weird scenes where he's just staring or lurking or like in the movie theater, not the movie theater, I'm sorry, in the video store. Shout out to good old
video
stores.
By the way, if anyone wants to buy and win the lottery and then donate the proceedings to us, we will open a video store.
That would be awesome.
It'd be cool.
Yeah.
It's a quick way to burn through like a mega lotto like set of winnings, but
yeah, and not have any returns on it because who is renting videos?
I feel like it would be a good, like, be it for me to say, I feel like you could open a video store as like a hotspot, like come here to order your pizza, kind of like hang out, more as like a communal space than a functional video store. We have little screening rooms where you can have birthday parties and shit.
Somebody write that down. Write that down.
You got it? Simon, you watching? One of my subscribers is named Simon, so hopefully that makes it to him.
Yeah. Hopefully Simon sees this.
Simon says, got it, sir.
Got it.
But, Simon, don't let me down. I have to make this like a social media clip to make sure he sees it.
I think I know the subscriber you're talking about.
We talk about my subscribers sometimes.
Yeah.
Nice things. Don't unsubscribe.
Only good things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wanted to ask that because there were so many moments where I'm like, rewatching this, I already know who the killer is, but there were interesting little things where I'm like, it's clearly Billy, right? Like, that's what I kept thinking. Like,
I thought it was really on the nose when he wore a shirt that said, I fucking killed her. I fucking did it.
You know what was funny to me when he ran into Sid in high school when she was running away, and he's like, I couldn't have done it. I was in jail, remember? And showed her his like,
oh yeah, he like
print fingers. Like, you didn't wash your hands after you got.
I was thinking, like, I know that stuff sticks a little bit, but like, dude, turn the heat up on your water.
Yeah.
There was definitely like a cut side plot where like, guys, I need hotter water. His parents were like, fuck you, the boiler's out. We had to pay your bail.
His rich dad.
There was another part where it was right after Ghostface like killed the best friend character. And Billy runs back to the house. Stu opens the door and he gives Stu the longest look. He's like, sorry, I'm late.
Yeah.
He like looked at Stu and I'm just like, bro, what?
Yeah, he scared them too. When they opened the door, he's like, boo. And he's like, she just died. And he's like, where was he? Where has he been this entire time?
Yeah.
Which is fine for a horror movie to like know who or have an idea who the killer is and stuff. But the whole police station thing didn't misdirect me at all. Like when the phone calls came back traced to her dad, that didn't like make me think that he wasn't guilty.
Vital phone just faxed us. Those calls are listed to Neil Prescott, Sydney's father.
Well, there's no way his cellular could have been cloned.
There's more. Guess what tomorrow is? The anniversary of his wife's death.
So I will say one thing that kind of threw me for a loop, because it took me, to answer your question more directly, it took me until like that video store scene to go like, oh no, he did it. He fucking did it. Because like the movie, when you're watching it as a first time viewer, it actually does a decent job of kind of throwing you off the scent.
Yeah.
Like right from the first kill with Casey, it's movie trivia. Okay, who's the killer in Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
It's Mrs. Voorhees, you know, stuff like that. And that's great. And you're immediately looking for someone with movie trivia. And they do tell you that Billy's the killer because in the next scene, Billy's like, I was watching The Exorcist and it was the made for TV version edit or whatever. And you're like, okay, that's kind of connecting it. And then you meet Ray and Ray's like explicitly like, there are rules to these kinds of things. And so I will give the movie credit because it doesn't convince you that nobody, it doesn't waste time trying to convince you that somebody wasn't the killer so much as it just tries to show you how anybody could have been the killer.
Yeah. So that courtyard scene right after Casey gets killed and they're all talking about it in high school in the courtyard. Watching this, already knowing who it was, that was the first scene where I was like, oh, they're showing you right here. Because when Stu is joking around and stuff and he's like, he gets super serious, like, nah, I didn't kill anybody, man. Billy goes, nobody said that you did.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And he's like giving him another long look and they kind of like look at each other, and seeing that as a first time viewer, you're probably like, whatever, you know, but knowing that they are the killers, I was like, there it is. Like you can clearly see that they're kind of in sync, and he's kind of like telling them like, shut the fuck up. Like no one's accusing you.
Which is kind of the joy with these movies. Like this isn't a whodunit by any stretch, but it kind of operates as one.
Yeah.
So what I love about a good whodunit is it's usually the person you think it is that killed somebody. And it's not more about like finding out who did it so much as it's finding out how and why they did it.
Right.
And you're able to kind of glean that from some details throughout the movie, or just like appreciate the hints that they did it. And that got me thinking about like storytelling, because of fucking course it did. And for me, it feels like the better call, because you make a really good mystery that no one's going to figure out, and then the movie has zero rewatch value. Whereas you make it obvious that Billy killed these people and Stu. Yeah. And suddenly you can go back to the movie and you can look for the hints. And you can get that little rush of dopamine, that satisfaction of like, there it is.
Yep.
This is the moment he decided to kill you or whatever. Something else I know is some people online have taken to trying to figure out who Ghostface was in each of his appearances. So like, was it Stu that killed Casey at the beginning of the movie, or was it Billy? Yeah.
You know, I had it in my head that Stu was the one doing the killing when it was like Ghostface was doing more because he's like sillier or whatever. But the only time I was like, that Stu is when he killed his girlfriend, actually. But then it didn't really line up because that was probably Billy, because Stu was in the house, or, you know, and he came back.
And that's the fun of the ambiguity.
Yeah.
Because you could argue that Billy couldn't have killed the best friend because he was so out of breath. Maybe he was just running across town to get there after killing the Fonz. And like, you're right, Stu is so goofy that maybe he did kill his girlfriend. Because also he's like more of a klutz because he's so lanky and big. And
I have a note about that too.
Oh, go on.
This is like a not scary movie. This is a Scream thing that they do reference in Scary Movie a lot. How often Ghostface just gets fucked up. Like,
oh, I've seen that clip where he's like chasing the girl through the house and she's like dropping him down the stairs. And
in the movie, I thought it was funny seeing it. Even if I had not seen Scary Movie, I think I would have found it funny because he's always getting fucked up. Like he got the best friend, what was her name?
Just her name was Best Friend.
Yeah, best friend, blonde best friend.
Beautiful name.
Yeah, right.
Is that French?
Name. She hits him with the freezer door. She throws beer bottles at him. I think she kicks him off of her and stuff.
Kicked him in the crotch.
Yeah, and it's just funny how often he gets fucked up, which is not like, I don't think that's super common in slasher movies where they actually make physical contact with the killer as often as they do with Ghostface.
I'm not versed enough in the genre to know. I was actually going to talk about how I'm actually not crazy into horror.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a misconception about me, I get. But no, I think it is a little rare. Like, yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis might fuck Michael Myers up a bit here and there, but like he's also such a unit.
Right.
That, you know.
Like they always try, like there's that famous, was it Jason clip on one of the ones from the 80s where the black guy like squares up with him.
Yeah.
He's just like standing there.
Motherfucker.
Like there always is an attempt to get back at the killer. Like, oh, let's just fight him. And that's kind of like a thing you think as the audience where they're like, you're trapped with this killer. He maybe has one weapon. Why don't we just rush him, guys? He's not a superhero. He's one guy.
Dragon Ball logic.
Yeah, right.
Dude, why don't we just jump Jiren?
Yeah. Why are we doing ones? We can just jump him.
Yeah.
You know?
But no, to answer your thing, and it's so interesting because like culturally, it kind of almost precipitates like a shift in American culture. Because like, okay, the old slasher villains came from an era where you could leave your door unlocked. Everyone knows everyone on their street. Everyone's a friend. And then Scream is a little more intense because it's not the weird stranger that nobody knows, or it's not the babysitter who is locked away, or whatever Michael Myers is. He's not a babysitter, but you know what I mean. It's your neighbor. It is your friends that you eat lunch and they've snapped. And the movie itself kind of touches on like media violence. Does it make you more violent or not? Doesn't it? And for this movie to come out, talk about those things, and then have like Columbine happen like a year later is like kind of nuts.
Yeah.
You know, I think some of the parents did blame Scream for Columbine.
Really?
When they weren't yelling about Doom and Marilyn Manson. Yeah, I think they were like, oh, violent media. Look, the killers in Scream were teenagers. Ergo, these teenager killers must be... They must have seen Scream.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, they saw Scream because it was one of the biggest fucking movies of last year.
Right. And I wanted to, you know, it's hard to speak to it now. I meant to like look into it, but I bet they did the thing where clearly they promoted Drew Barrymore being in this thing.
Yeah, they did the Psycho thing. I wrote a note about that.
Yeah, and they just killed her off immediately. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which I thought was so clever because like as soon as I saw Drew Barrymore, I was like, I didn't know she was in Scream. I'm like, I'm kind of locked in. Like, good for her.
Yeah.
And then she just gets fucking killed.
It's pretty cool. She's on the poster.
Yeah. It is exactly like Psycho. It's just in the first 10 minutes versus the first 30. You know, where which is like a classic move. And look, I may not be crazy into horror, but even I know like, yeah, Wes Craven's got the goods when he wants to as a director, and he did it. He sold me on it. I also love the little embellishments while we're talking about Casey's sequence. The little things like she's making popcorn and it's almost like a tea kettle because things start off calm and playful and bright. And then as the popcorn burns, her house fills in smoke just as Ghostface is coming to kill her.
Yeah.
And it's like this motivated thing that turns it into this foggy room where beams of moonlight are piercing through the windows. And you're just like, oh my fucking God.
It's like, this is a movie.
Yeah.
We got a movie, guys.
Like, and it's shot on 35 mil, so it looks especially good. And you're just like, oh God, we used to like...
we used to be a country.
We used to be a society.
We used to be a real country.
We used to kill people right. And maybe I do want to talk about this horror thing. It's not that I don't like horror. It's that I just never go to the genre. But I also recognize that a lot of the best filmmakers start off in horror because Sam Raimi very famously made The Evil Dead because, horror's like, it's got a pre-built market. It's super cheap to make a horror movie and you can make a good one.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because like, yeah, I try to think about a lot of directors I really like, and a lot of them start off with horror movies. Even like James Cameron, The Terminator is a horror movie.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think they referenced the Terminator in this.
I don't think they did. They referenced a lot of movies.
Yeah, they did. They mentioned a lot of movies.
They did a Nightmare on Elm Street reference to open the film, and they made another Wes Craven joke.
What, you sound like she called him like Wes Carpenter.
Yeah, it was John Carpenter, director of The Thing, and Wes Craven. So it's like, oh, okay, Wes Craven, I see what you're doing.
When I was watching a BTS video on Scream 1, Craven said that he didn't put that joke in there. He's like, I swear I didn't put the joke in there. I didn't write that joke.
So the writer actually put that in.
Yeah.
That's funny. That was a good joke, though. I didn't catch it the first time I saw the movie.
Yeah.
I will also say, you know what else they referenced in this? They referenced The Evil Dead first off.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. I'm pretty sure, I think it's Nightmare on Elm Street referenced The Evil Dead also, because the girl in it couldn't go to sleep or something, so she stayed up to watch The Evil Dead. And then it became like a thing where Sam Raimi and Wes Craven would trade references.
Yeah, I think we talked about that, or like you sent me or I sent you the video of the people explaining their little rivalry back and forth. And they also made another Freddy reference in the movie, the janitor.
Yeah.
Remember when Henry Winkler got killed? He's
You're
like, he said, "You little punks," as he opened the door, and it's some guy in a Freddy sweater and long hair. He's like, "Not you, Freddy." It's like,
Damn little shits.
What'd you call me?
Not your friend.
well, that one was on the nose, but
Yeah.
I liked it
I
anyway.
think it sells the movie almost. There is one more movie reference we'll get into, but it kind of works because like the 90s was such a naive time. Like we were just coming out of the 80s, the 90s were still we still had a little bit of our like naivete a little bit. And then like post 9/11, it just became cynical. I think like a joke like that doesn't work post 2001, you know, but because it's the 90s, we're able to go, it was a simpler time.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest deal in the world was who the president was or wasn't fucking, you know? So yeah. As for the other movie that got referenced, Clerks, which just had its 30th anniversary this week, actually.
Really?
Yeah. This week, meaning last week for everyone watching, because these take fucking forever to cut.
When did they reference Clerks?
So Clerks is on VHS in Ray's movie collection.
Oh, cool.
And there was a Clerks poster at the video store, I think. And funny enough, Jay and Silent Bob have a cameo in Scream 3.
That's cool.
And they repay it because in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, they go to Hollywood and they're on the set of a fictitious Scream 4 with Wes Craven.
Wow.
So
damn, it's got layers.
Yeah, it's got layers.
That's a good one.
That was pretty
I didn't
cool.
know that.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me want to rewatch Clerks now. My annual, I will rewatch Clerks and then hate watch the other ones. But yeah, it's just a weird thought that like of all the movies to pick, it's Clerks. I don't know. I think it's just maybe it's the pop culture savvy.
Yeah. They reference a lot of they shout out Evil Dead. You know when they're picking a movie.
Yep.
Like how many for Evil Dead? How many for Halloween?
They did Prom Queen.
Yeah.
Ray does a whole like spiel about the movie.
He does a little bit about Jamie Lee Curtis being the Scream Queen.
Yep.
She's been in a bunch of movies, and they're like, yeah, she's a Scream Queen. And Stu, I like that joke where Stu's like, yeah, with a nice set of lungs like hers, of course she is. He's like, of course it's about her tits again.
She's the Scream. You know, with a set of lungs like that, she should be. Yeah.
Tits. See?
That was the moment Stu decided to kill her.
Yeah, I was like, can't stand this bitch.
Ironically, you know what's really fucked about that? What's the reason that his girlfriend died?
She got her head chopped off, or
yeah, but think deeper than that. She got stuck going through the doggy door in the garage because of her lungs, let's just say.
Because of her lungs. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was intentional.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucked up. If that was intentional, like clever, I guess, but like also goddamn.
And it's wild that kill, that kill is pretty brutal and probably my favorite one because of just the whole sequence, you know, like that she kind of fucked him up. She got killed in a interesting way or creative way, but that one was also kind of like the dumbest too, where she gets stuck in the doggy door. Is like, okay, when you're like
You just gotta push forward, you know?
Or slip out that thing and jump down.
But we've already established that her lungs prevented her from
her nice lungs.
Her triathlete lungs. Yeah, no, I mean, but like you're right. That was definitely the biggest death in the movie. And I also love how bad the dummy was. They come back when what's the main character's name? Sydney?
Yeah.
When Sydney runs back like later in the movie and she sees that her friend is dead, just the cheapest looking dummy is hanging there.
Yeah.
So, oh man.
I guess we should talk about what happens, because I had a lot of notes about not really like plot holes. I don't know if I said this on camera or not, but
You didn't.
I don't have notes about plot holes because it's a horror movie. Like, it is what it is, except like that things have to happen in the movie.
What do you call a plot hole in a horror movie?
Plot.
A stab wound.
Nice.
Thank you. I mean, you could do better laughing next time. Sell it a little. You fucking
Nice.
You studied acting in school. I mean, Jesus.
Nice. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha.
I won't accept that.
I've got the man dog laugh. It's like
That one.
yeah. But damn, what was I gonna say?
Plot holes.
Plot holes, stab wounds, police work in the movie. Big one. Because, you know, one of the last scene takes place at Stu's house. The reveal, everything happens at Stu's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
The town is on a curfew. Everybody's in their home by 9 or something.
It was 9:00. We got a whole montage to Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds of every store closing.
Yeah. So police work in the movie, not very good. You know, like I was saying before, Billy not having his phone be where the calls come from didn't throw me off all that much.
Yeah.
Because because of his character though. But the police work just wasn't good, because when Stu's like, party at my house, guys, pull up. Everyone knows about the party, including Dewey, right?
Yeah.
And
Dewey doesn't even bust the party.
he doesn't. He's encouraged them. He's like, oh, they're just a couple of teens cutting loose. He's like, when he drops Sid and his sister off, the blonde best friend, he goes, have fun, but not too much fun or I'll bust you. And then he's like, I'm going to just keep an eye on things. I'm going to hang out. I'm thinking he's just going to be on the outside watching people coming, you know, police stuff. But he fully is like, goes to get Courtney Cox. And it's like, you want to come in with me? And he goes to the party. He's like, she's with me. I'm at the cool kids party, and I got the woman on the news with me.
10 times sadder when you remember that these are high schoolers.
Yeah.
The 25-year-old cop crashing a high school party is not, it's just, it was the 90s.
It was the 90s.
Jerry Seinfeld dated a 17-year-old. It was a different time.
Yeah. But that scene, or not even just that scene, but his boss, the police chief, doesn't even really like put him on. He's not like on the case. He's just like, keep an eye on Sydney for me, will you? Because Dewey's also kind of like, he's a new cop, fuck up, whatever you want to call him. And it's just like, does this big house party that people know about, does this not sound like the perfect time to catch the killer?
Yeah.
Or to be on high alert, like, hey, maybe we should hang out outside of the party or whatever. And these students, by the way, this side note, when they find out that the principal got killed at the party, they're like, yeah, they're singing the Valkyrie song.
They're doing Ride of the Valkyries.
Yeah,
I think one of them in the back was holding a Luger and going, faster.
Faster.
What fucking deviants these guys are.
It was the 90s. Raekwon.
Let's go.
Were you not ever a child who longed for the simple pre-internet days of waiting for your principal to get killed so that you could go faster in a car to Ride of the Valkyries?
They get the call that he's hanging from the fucking field goal post, goal post.
What I also want to know is who the fuck told Ray?
The school called, like, you know.
Oh, so the school, like, it was like a snow day. They were just like, so school's going to be closed for a while.
Yeah. The principal's been hung from the football field.
Hung from the football field. It's like a whole Passion of the Christ situation there. Mel Gibson spewing all sorts of anti-Semitic shit on set. And, you know.
They're like, as soon as they find out, they're like, well, let's go over there before they get him down.
I think it's crazy. And you know what? That just made something click for me too. So Matthew Lillard's character Stu couldn't have been the one who killed the principal because he didn't go to check his handiwork. That was something I noticed throughout this whole movie was like Stu would always kind of like, he was just gunning. He was enjoying all the attention that the crimes were getting. And he didn't that one time. So I'm like, oh, word. Good for you. Also so weird to see Stu act like this because Matthew Lillard would go on to play Shaggy in Scooby-Doo. He still plays Shaggy to this day as the voice. But it's so weird because like you go from fucking batshit crazy Stu. Yeah. He's like crying. He's like, my mom and dad are going to be so mad at me, man. And then suddenly it's like a couple of years later, like zoink Scoob.
I thought that was so funny. He was great in this. He was so funny because when they were stabbing each other back and forth, I had that thought. I was like, that's me and Nick. He's like, give me the knife. He's like, you cut me too deep. Give me the knife back.
Don't forget, stay to the side and don't go too deep.
Okay. I'll remember.
Fuck! God damn it, Stu!
Actual proof that we have one shared brain cell behavior.
Because when he was we stabbed him,
a lot of blood, man.
I'm feeling woozy. I think I'm dying here, man. It's like, yo, that had me dying.
Stop it, Billy. Would you all right? I can't take anymore. I'm feeling woozy here.
One thing I want to talk about though is Courtney Cox's character. I loved to hate her in this. And then the more I think about it, the more I'm like, she isn't even a bad person. She's annoying and she's 100% the type of person I would hate to know, but she isn't a bad person. She's a journalist doing a journalist's job in a very obnoxious way, but she's still like doing the work.
The only part of it, because I actually didn't remember why Sid punched her. Even after what she had said, like it took her revealing what the book was about to be like, oh, that's why she hit her. Because it was kind of shitty of her to say that.
I'll send you a copy.
I'll send you a copy. He's like, and it's a book about her mom's murder case. It's like, all right, dickhead. Like that was so rude.
It was so rude. And she was 100% in like LinkedIn mode. She was like, oh my God, can you imagine her fucking LinkedIn?
Oh my God.
Actually be the worst.
Yeah, that's actually like a funny premise, like someone making LinkedIn pages for movie characters like that.
Yeah.
Hers ironclad. Hers has got to be top notch, but super obnoxious.
What was her name? Is like something Weathers? Gail Weathers. Jesus, that sounds like a porn star.
Yeah, she said it sounds like she does the weather.
Yeah. Which is, it fits because she's such an artificial person that you kind of like, oh yeah, super fake sounding name. Yeah. Okay, I like that.
Gail Weathers.
I do appreciate that she comes around later in the movie. And I know she's the only one to make it into every Scream.
I did like her rant in the beginning to kind of like get an idea. The first time you get an idea of her character is before she even gets punched, when she says to Kenneth, like, move your tub of lard ass. Yeah. Like when I say hurry, that I thought was funny. But another death that I really liked was Kenneth, the
camera guy.
Camera guy, because they point out the lag. So this is at the party, right? She takes a video camera into the party as a live feed to the van or whatever. And he points out like, oh, there's a lag. And she's like, how long is the lag? Oh, however long it takes you to get from here to the house. Yeah. And then he sees on the TV that Ghostface is in there. He was about to kill Ray, but then he hears Sydney outside. But Sydney's already at the van. So by the time he's like, oh shit, he turns around, cut. It's like, great. That was a good one.
That was really good. I thought it was going to come back again later. So what I thought was going to happen was Stu and Billy were doing their whole like monologue, like, this is why we did it. This is why we, and I was hoping that Gail passed out in the van because she crashed it, was hearing all of that through the lag. And she was able to like get the evidence for her story. And that's why she was able to get in and grab the gun. I think that is what happened, but the movie never made a point where I was like, oh, that would have been such a good checkmate though. You know, if you give her that beat. But yeah, I mean, I thought she was an interesting character because like 100% antagonist, but like not a villain, not, you know, obviously not like a killer. So I think that's cool. And that's one of the things I'm like really curious about with like going to see Scream 2 and over, you know, like whatever it comes after. I want to see how their relationship continues to change.
Gail and Sid?
Yeah. Like, I think they'll always kind of fucking hate each other. But like, I'm assuming they're going to have to work together again because of a copycat killer or something.
Yeah, well, all I know from Scream 6 is the last one, whatever the last one Jenna Ortega was in, is that, yes, there are like copycat killers, but because of her book success and stuff, it becomes a movie franchise and stuff.
I saw that. Apparently they make a parody of Scream that runs throughout each movie. I love that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. It's very cool. David Lynch, because in Twin Peaks they have Invitation to Love, which is a soap opera within the soap opera. And it always spoils what's going to happen next. So like one episode they'll be watching Invitation to Love and it's like, this is your cousin. And then Laura Palmer's cousin shows up like later that episode.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I love stuff like that. And again, these are just the kinds of storytelling conventions that are so much harder to do today because everything's cynical.
Yeah.
You know, I know that I sound like a boomer this week, but
as we watch a movie from 96,
I'm trying not to just drag the Fall Guy into this, mainly because I do.
Yo, your beef with the Fall Guy will never end.
The funniest part is when the Fall Guy has my attention, it has my attention. So without dragging the movie, because I drag it in my next video essay a little bit, it's just like a problem with a lot of meta material these days where they need you to know it's meta. Like it's not so much as a wink, so much as it's like a comical wink, like a, you know, like a big one.
Yeah.
And I just can't with that shit.
Yeah, I get that.
It makes me feel like the movie thinks I'm an idiot.
I feel that because something like that, well, we talk about Deadpool and stuff. And
that's why I don't like Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yes, you know.
It does kind of make you feel that way because of what they're kind of, by doing it, they're saying, you don't get this, so we're saying it explicitly, like we're telling you this is what it is. It's like, yeah, we get it. We're still choosing to see the movie anyway. You know, you don't have to like wink at us or whatever. You don't have to
you don't
say
need
it.
to make us feel assured in our decision to see the movie.
Yeah,
and that's kind of something I say about the Fall Guy and Deadpool for what it's worth, and even like Anyone But You to some degree. But like a lot of these sort of meta movies about the genre that they fail because they're always like justifying being cliche. Just own it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about Sleepless in Seattle, which is what my next video is going to be about, is the fact that it's a very cliche romantic comedy that makes fun of romantic comedies. It doesn't stop to be like, I hate the part in romantic comedies where there's always a big romantic gesture when they come together. No. Instead, the movie is just like Meg Ryan's favorite movie is An Affair to Remember. So she steals the ending of that movie, or she steals like a big scene in that movie to meet at the Empire State Building. And that's the ending of this movie. And it's like, okay, that's cute. It's meta.
Yeah.
It says something. You don't need the movie to be like, see, it represents the fact that she's a romantic at heart and she needs romance. You know, it doesn't fucking say that because we're all adults and we can figure it out.
Yeah, but Scream for this movie, I don't think that I never got that feeling because
I think Scream is different because it does it a little bit, but it's also like, this is stupid. Like it's explicitly written to be stupid.
Right. We are making fun of the genre, or like, what word did I use? Highlighting the tropes of the genre, but not being like, we get it, guys, just so you know, we get it. It's more like, no, this is what they do in all these movies and we are also doing it. Like this is happening here too.
I think it also helps that like horror is such like a standardized genre.
Yeah.
Like you said, like, these movies are all the same.
Yeah.
And it works a little bit better than like a Deadpool does for me because like when a superhero movie is on top of the world already, like the genre is on top of the world. And then we get a superhero movie that's like, God, aren't these stupid? We're going to make a fucking $1 billion though. It's like, okay, yeah, we know. Like, you don't need to remind us that we're eating slop. At least with a horror movie, it's like, look, horror movies very seldom do the best at the box office for the year. This came during like a slump in the genre, in a more naive time. It gets a pass.
Yeah.
You know,
I saw one review of it where someone basically was like, it's making fun of the formulaic nature of these movies, but it still is very formulaic, because it still follows the formula. And I'm not mad at it. I think that person was leaving a negative review, but for me, I think it plays also because it's a horror movie, you know, because it could be like cheesy in the 90s kind of way, but it's a little cheesy in a 90s horror movie kind of way, but not like your basic horror movie. Like it's not like a,
well, again, like Wes Craven. So
yeah,
I mean, guy knows how to direct something.
That's a note that I had about the some of the shots in this, where horror movies, I feel like the way that it's shot, especially around the more suspenseful, like, you know, right before a kill scenes, that's almost as important, if not, I wouldn't put it more important. It's almost as important as the score of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, if I may, I think a lot of that is like a lot of our conventions are like a lot of our show-offy kind of big cinematography tricks. A lot of them owe to horror first. You know, you look at like the introduction of Deutsch angles, oblique angles, the camera when it's off-centered, this, literally through the tilt by like 35 degrees. But like, you know, that owes to German expressionism and the Hitchcock shot where you're pulling back and zooming in, or whatever, whichever way it is. Again, Hitchcock, suspense, horror. So like, yeah, a lot of cinema language is built around horror because it's just like, you need to convey that somehow. We have a long history of scary silent movies. So yeah, visuals are important. Who knew?
One of my favorite shots, it's a super simple one, was before the party. You see Sid and blonde best friend, unnamed friend.
Blonde best friend.
Blonde best
That's
friend.
her name.
BBF.
BBF, yeah.
They're talking.
Swedish.
Swedish. She kind of does look Swedish now.
Maybe.
But hey, they're talking. She's kind of telling her about how much her mom's a whore or whatever. And you see a shot, you see a couple shots from
just something about that sentence.
I mean,
they're chilling. It's after school. They got their juice boxes. Blonde best friend's talking about how much her mom puts out.
It's like, you know, your mom used to fuck a lot of guys.
Yeah, right. Which is like basically dialogue in the scene.
Yeah, literally, right. But one of my favorite shots, there's a couple where in horror movies you see this a lot, you know, the point of view of the killer, right?
Yep.
But I love that one because you see a shot through the from the ground looking up at the porch, kind of like going through, and you see each, you know, post, and then you see another one kind of like an angle from the woods area, and then
I think that's a nod to either The Evil Dead because of like the POV shots in that movie, or maybe like Halloween or something.
Makes sense.
I think Halloween does something like that too.
Yeah, like that's cool. Like hey man, that's a choice where it's like, because when they finish talking and, you know, they go inside the house, you see Ghostface like run across. Yeah. And also, what was up with him being in the store? Remember when they were shopping and you see him in the store and you see his reflection, he's like, and he just runs away. Like that's just also hilarious.
The movie's just having fun with itself, man.
It's funny in that way because it's like, why is he in the store stalking them?
Literally thought, I was like, is he gonna just fucking jump her in broad daylight?
Right here, right now? Okay.
Let's do it. It pops out from behind a box of like Uncle Ben's or whatever.
Have you seen that? This is fucking more brain rot, but there's like a famous sound. I don't even know what it is, but there's like a fan that's like, Beyonce! And then you hear like a gunshot sound. Beyonce! Like that's Ghostface. He's like, Cindy, he's like in the fucking store. Cindy, is that you?
Oh my god, no, I've never heard that. You need to send me that.
It's so old. I'll send it to you, but it's just so funny. Like, but that's what I picture. Yeah. Ghostface is just stalking them broad daylight in the full shit.
Maybe it's like a Kool-Aid Man situation where they're like, oh yeah, oh no, pops through the wall.
Every time they mention Sydney's mom, he appears.
Yeah.
Which, okay, more police work stuff. All right, back to the goods.
Really quick. It's a Beetlejuice situation. You just have to keep saying Sydney's mom, Sydney's mom, Sydney's mom.
Did you notice how much they say the word savagely in this movie? They say savagely murdered, savagely raped so many times.
For me, when I edit this, download the script to Scream, then Command F and type in the word savage.
They savagely raped and murdered her. Savagely murdered. Like they say it a lot.
Kind of the way you're saying it reminds me of like Plan 9 from Outer Space with Criswell. He's like, future events such as these will come to affect you in the future.
And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future.
Like actual dialogue from the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. That sounds like where is that from?
Plan 9, the Ed Wood movie.
That I don't know why when you said that it reminded me of like Futurama. That sounds like something
that does feel like a Futurama
like
joke.
The news anchors. All right. So the police work.
Yes.
Second time, Sydney gets back from the police station. All types of weird stuff happens in there, by the way. We already talked about the dad like fully looking at his son being like,
Bro, you gotta get your story straight.
Yeah, he looks at the cop and they both look at each other like, this guy might have done it. But on the way out, he's screaming. Sydney's like, come on, Sydney, you know me, Sydney. Go back to the house. She gets another call from Ghostface. And Ghostface says like, oh, an innocent guy can't last long with you, and looks like you got the wrong guy again. And it's like, she doesn't mention that to anybody.
She doesn't. It kind of comes up when she's talking to Gail the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting. And it's also, I love, Ray has this whole sequence where he's talking about how you lose your audience once you overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
And then like the whole last 20 minutes of this movie, like it still works enough. It isn't like a certain movie we won't name where they keep complaining that the third act doesn't make sense, and then the third act doesn't make sense, and it feels like a cop-out.
Go ahead, say it. You want to say it, put it in.
I'm not falling for that guy. But, at least here, the movie like keeps it together, but like it's kind of ironic. It's more ironic than it doesn't feel like a motivated fourth wall break.
Yeah.
But Ray is literally like, oh yeah, once you start like getting too into the minutia of like motivations and shit, like the movie falls apart.
Yep. Lose your target audience.
Yeah. And like here it kind of tracks, but more because they're stupid fucking teenagers. Like, so the real reason Billy did all of this, other than the fact that he needs like a lot of medication, is because his mom left because Sydney's mom fucked her dad. His dad. Yeah. And instead of getting mad at his dad for fucking Sydney's mom,
right,
he decided to kill her, then spend the next year trying to fuck Sydney while slowly planning to murder multiple people for the notoriety of being a killer.
And Stu's just along for the ride.
And Stu's just there for the vibes.
Yeah. He just really he just idolizes Billy.
Billy's hot. So he's just like, well, zoinks. I mean... Well, zoinks, if you say it'll make me cool. But what was I saying? Oh, right. Billy needs medication.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
Like it almost makes more sense and goes back to what I said about the prefrontal cortex. Like they get more leeway because these are dumb fucking teenagers.
It's like, my dad fucked your mom and then my parents got divorced. I'm going to rape and murder your mom and I'm going to plot to kill you and all our friends.
And then I'm going to inspire Columbine, apparently.
Yeah, and then that, too.
I don't know. I might go play Doom. You play Doom? How good are you at Doom? You want to make custom maps?
And then he said he was going to start working on this new game called Grand Theft Auto as well.
Yeah, like actually.
Right.
That's the lore. No, I mean, I think it just works, right? Yeah. And even like the stuff like Billy acting like so fucking bonkers sells it because he's a dumb teenager.
Yep.
He's like the quintessential like 90s fuckboy.
Yeah, geez, we haven't talked about him being such a fuckboy yet.
Yeah, he is. He's a complete fuckboy.
Because
like, to the point where I used to do this bit with my friends in high school, my buddy Matt and Corey. This is the year Justin Bieber got big. And this is when he had like the fuckboy like bowl cut and all that stuff. And we used to just do our impersonation of Justin Bieber every sentence ends in girl. Like, come on, girl. You know you're my world, girl. Wears a baseball cap backwards, all that shit. And it's that's Billy. What are you doing? Yeah. Give me it. This is going to look really bad if the Mets get knocked out by the Dodgers today. Because there's a week. If the Mets win tonight and the next game, we're going to the World Series. And this will make sense. Otherwise, I really am a douchebag.
It looks funny on your head from this angle.
It looks funny on my head in any angle. I don't, to quote my friend Sam, I don't have the douchebag energy to wear a cap backwards. But this is Billy. He's just like, hey, what's up, girl? You're my world, girl.
Just like,
girl, why are you so upset that your mom died after she got raped a year ago? God, girl. Stop being such a B word, girl. God. Trying to get my dick wet, girl.
Who cares that your mom got raped and murdered last year by me?
Girl.
Girl. And by the way, and when he brought up, when they had their big blowout after he got arrested, he's like, but it's been a year since your mom got raped and murdered. Aren't you over that shit already?
That was the crazy part for me. Wait, put him back on for us.
Oh yeah, there we go.
But like, yeah, that was the craziest part where he's like, I know your mom got raped and killed last year, girl. I know it like totally uprooted your life and ruined your family or some shit, girl.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care.
I don't give a shit. It's like, who cares? It was me that did it, by the way, also. Yeah. But, you know.
That's what made it so much funnier when we find out the real reason Billy's doing all of this. I'm like, my guy deadass was just like, hey, get over your mom's death and the trauma and suck my dick.
Please.
Because I'm the one who did all of it because she sucked my dad's dick.
Right. Yeah. Dude. That was just insane because also she said it when they were having their fight. He's like, but that was a year ago. She's like, yeah, a year ago today.
Yeah, like
that was a year ago today.
I'm sorry that grief works in funny ways. Can you put it on the upper?
But yeah, a year ago today, by the way. and what's you know, we already said he needs a bunch of medication, but him being the one that did it also is it just adds to the fucking insanity of him being like, because you meet him for the first time when he sneaks into her bedroom.
Dude, he has fucking killer vibes from the first time we meet him.
He scares her.
He literally,
when he pops up.
He's like, sup, girl?
Oh, let me look at my notes. I want the exact quote. Because,
you wrote it down.
Yeah, because she says, oh, whenever Billy touches me, I just can't relax. It's like, huh. I wonder if it's because he raped and murdered your mom. And you just get that vibe.
You get the vibe.
You just get that feeling. He's like, for some reason, every time he touches me, I can't relax.
Every time he touches me, I think about my dead mother.
Yeah, right. Every time he tries to have sex with me, I think, better not. Maybe I shouldn't.
Maybe not today.
Yeah, not this time. Like, but I'm totally cool with she like is down with Ray or also, whatever.
Dude, did you fucking notice when Billy tried to gaslight her at the end? She's like, "Come on, you slept with a mentally unstable person."
Yeah.
Total abandonment causes serious deviant behavior. Certainly fucked you up. It made you have sex with a psychopath.
And it's like, so you know?
Yeah. So you've known.
You know, you put the ick in sick.
Yeah, that part was just crazy. Like I didn't laugh, but I was just like, this guy, dude. When
I laughed nervously.
The year ago today line.
Yeah.
Like, and the second watch is when I noticed that Sid line in the grocery store when she's like, oh, whenever he touches me, I just can't relax. It's just so strange.
Yeah.
Like, huh. Maybe that's your women's intuition they all keep talking about. Like, Jesus Christ. That's so crazy. And that's just a good line, by the way. Like, I just like that. I had to make a note of that from the second watch because I was like, man, that's good writing because, you know, who'd have thunk that you get the ick from your mother's killer, you know?
Crazy sexual assaulting murderer boyfriend.
Yeah.
Good hair, though.
And good hair.
Yeah.
Quality
haircut.
But that's a reason
I get it. On some level, I could fix him. The thought would cross my mind too.
I could fix him.
I could fix him as he's literally stabbing people.
I think Stu could be fixed. Maybe he just idolized the
Stu needs like a hug, and
Yeah.
he needs to find somebody who can match his freak without killing people. He needs like a Linda Cardellini type or something.
Stu's like, is anybody gonna match my freak? No? Fine.
Just get him really into pot. I don't know.
He's always there.
He's basically there.
Yeah.
Just get him super into pot. Get him some new friends to solve mysteries.
And why did I like Stu? Because, you know, even when they were all hanging out, Stu seems like a good hang. Billy seems like kind of a psycho killer. Like I put that in my notes too. Is like, he just seems like a crazy individual. I don't care if they had him talking to girls in the video store.
He's the guy who would use like those X-Acto blades that look like pens to write notes in class and just be carving up a notebook. Like that is the kind of fucking kid he is.
Billy's batshit and Stu just seem like a cool hang. One of my favorite things, one of jokes or whatever, not really a joke in the movie, was when Ray was explaining the rules of horror, and then he's like, "You never say be right back because you'll never be right back."
Yeah,
and he's like, "I'm gonna go get a beer. You want one?" He's like, "Sure." Like, as he interrupted his thing, he's like, "I'll be right back." He's
you know
like,
what?
I like this guy.
There you go. It's also Stu is the one who killed the girl, his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Because he went to get the garage. He went to get beer in the garage. Yeah, crazy. Good casting. No, none of the characters were wasted in this.
Yeah,
like even the best friend with her weird ass bedroom. What was weird about her bedroom? Do you know what it was?
The two tiny beds that she had in it.
Why does she have two twin beds?
Also, maybe it's just the movie thing, because when Sid and Billy hook up in Stu's parents' room, that's the master bedroom. Did you notice how tiny that bed was?
Well, maybe they're just really close.
they had to be.
Like there's love. There's like, okay, we're gonna have a king size mattress love, and then there's being so fucking into each other that you're like, nah, not even a queen. We're gonna sleep in a full.
We're on this twin XL, baby. Me and you, dorm style.
Dorm style.
How did anybody make that work? I know you didn't dorm, but like Jesus.
But like I've slept in many a twin bed before. Like with
how did that even?
You just do.
I could barely fit on my twin bed.
You just do. If it's up against the wall, it's not that bad because then one of you can just be a side sleeper.
Yeah. I remember. Well, this is not related. Or whatever. Never mind.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, it wasn't like a weird thing.
I mean, it is now.
Well,
right. Well, yeah, but just like, but hear me out. Like burning the lens. It wasn't a weird sex thing.
It wasn't a weird sex thing. I swear. You see my hand in your shot.
Yeah. Wait. I think I'm gonna cut to a Michael Jackson scream there.
It's that Punisher scene before they kill his family. Wait.
I think every ad break in this video, if I remember to manually select the ad breaks, will be broken up by a scream. Michael Jackson scream, a Prince scream, Mac at his high school reunion screaming. Ah! So one thing I want to talk about is when Ray and Stu.
Randy. We've been saying Ray this entire time.
It's like a tradition at this point on the show where we just misname somebody for like 2/3 of the episode.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. Oops.
Whoops.
Well, and regardless of the fact. So one of the things I love about Randy is that he's like always calling out conventions. I thought about it. One of the things that separates it from other movies that do that nowadays is the fact that it isn't calling them out as being stupid. It's actually adding to the theme of the movie, right? But more than adding to the theme of the movie, it makes watching other movies in the genre more fun. Because like now you can go watch Prom Queen and go, oh, this is, the structure.
Right. And it's cool seeing how they deviate from that. Because I didn't watch any other Scream movie, but I watched the trailer for, I think, Scream 4, where they're talking about how the formula is different now. It's like mid 2000s at this point, and they're like, virgins can die now, this can happen now, like they break the rules of the, basic horror flick, so, and it's cool to see now, like if I watch a horror movie, how they decide to do things differently, and,
it gives you more of a vernacular for the thing, which to what end, I have this belief in something called freshman year of college movies, which is like, the movie that every kid has like a poster as, like Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I had that.
You know, Citizen Kane. Like I just started getting into movies. Scream should be on that list.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's not even like, you don't even have to be a horror guy to be into Scream, because Scream's just a huge franchise.
Yeah, it's just like a well-made movie, and it teaches you about screenwriting a little bit.
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, just there's my thought on the value of Scream culturally. Also, not to mention a beloved movie, Variety. They published their top 100 horror movies like 2-3 weeks ago. 25.
Valid.
Yeah,
because some of the other ones are not great. I think when I was looking at the movies, I think this one scored the highest, the original one. But the other ones are kind of like flops or whatever.
I know Texas Chainsaw, a lot of people on Twitter were like super angry. The Texas Chainsaw took home #1, and I'm like, guys, it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean,
first one is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I had something to add about the video store scene.
Right, with Randy
and Stu, right?
Just really quick. Randy.
His
name's Randy.
Randy.
He ran the D.
I didn't know where you were going with that. He ran D.
I tried to come up with like
another
Randy.
Roadhouse.
Cajun style.
So when Stu and Randy are in the store, Randy's like sold on Billy being the killer, which he's right. He says it off rip. He's like, he calls him Leatherface. Yeah, he calls him Leatherface when he comes to the party. He's like, what's Leatherface doing here? And in the video store, he's like, oh, that's in bad taste. Look at him. Why? If you're the #1 suspect in a murder, why would you be seen in the horror section? And then Stu starts asking him questions about, you know, what he thinks about who did it, or not even who did it, or like why he would do it, just like motives and everything. And you can tell he's asking questions like learning, sort of. It's like, what do you think is going on?
I didn't even think that was what he was doing.
I was kind of like reading into it a little more on the second watch, because Stu got kind of like somewhat serious when he was asking about that, and he's kind of like just listening, like he was like looking like this and just listening to him talk about it, and he was just asking him questions, and Randy was just going on and on.
I thought personally, so this is, you know, up to interpretation, but I thought it was Stu kind of revisiting the scene of the crime, just enjoying the thunder of it a little bit.
Yeah,
like internally, Matthew Lillard will always sound like Shaggy to me. So I thought he was in the back of his head. He's like zoinks, dude! I've got a mega Scooby snack for this.
I think
erection joke.
Yeah, I got that. I got that one.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I interpreted that way, like him trying to like learn from him or just ask questions because of how serious he got, and because he was just like, well, oh, but he didn't do it, you know, just the way he was delivering those lines. He's like, he didn't do it. Remember the calls came from the dad, and he said something. He's like, but why would he want to kill her? And just kind of really just asking the questions, not really being like super jokey. It's like, he might be, you know, just seeing if they're covering their tracks a little bit well right here.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I get that. I do. I see where you're coming from with it. Originally, I think I told you, I thought Randy and Stu had done it to some extent, because they had like the whole shared one brain cell friendship. And I thought the first time I watched the movie, that scene between them was kind of like them egging the town on almost. I thought it was like, oh, they're both in on it and they're fucking with everybody by pretending to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, that's just me though. That's where my brain went.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, I do think with this movie, a lot of it speaks for itself, which is good. And I do think like a lot of the action and stuff, it's fine. It's very, when the movie isn't being like a subversion of the genre, it is just being another movie in the genre, albeit punching above its weight more than you would think it would. But I do think like it's a good movie. I enjoyed it. It makes me want to watch the other Screams. It makes me want to watch Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, all those things. And like, that's like honestly the nicest thing I can say about it, because I'm not a horror guy. So if you make me want to watch more horror movies, then yeah, I'm pretty into it. You know?
Yeah. I
The
feel
only
that.
the only horror series I'm like always in the mood for is like Evil Dead. That's literally it. That and like classic Universal horror movies, but those like barely count. You know, so
I've never been a huge horror guy, but maybe I'm not, but I kind of am, I guess, because it used to be like a thing. It's just like a family thing. I have a lot of cousins my age, and we're like get together. We're like, let's watch a scary movie, you know.
Yeah.
And I've seen a decent amount, but it's never been my thing.
Yeah, no, I totally am with you on it. And it's like I've gotten into the genre and I've gotten out of it. I kind of go in and out. Every couple of years, I'll get into it. I'll watch a couple of them and get out. And that's why earlier I said it's like a misconception about me that I'm like super into horror movies because I love Halloween. It's not the reason I love Halloween is I love the macabre. I love like the goofiness of death. I love the silliness around it.
Right.
I love like Vampira, Elvira, the kind of kitschy, we're going to make fun of this. So it was a given that I would like Scream. I don't think that was really up for contention. As for why it took me so long to watch this, I have fun enough note to end on, I think. When I was a kid, so I was born in 95. So I was born I was raised in a post-Scream world. When I was growing up, there was a house on the corner where a guy pretended to be a dummy on his porch with the candy in a Ghostface costume. And I was like 5. I fucking walked over. I think it was dressed like Spider-Man. I might have been 6 because I think I was Spider-Man that year.
Okay.
And I walked over, or 7, however old, but I walked over, he sprang to life, and it scared me so much I ran away and tripped on his lawn.
Damn.
And that gave me the memory of like, I am not going to watch Scream. So
that's crazy. That's like I have a similar thing where I used to hate Chucky. This is like a well-known thing for me that like I used to be so afraid of Chucky. And that's Scream, and I think Scream and like Michael Myers and Chucky are like the big 3 of like the genre, you know. And Chucky's super popular, older movie than Scream, but
yeah, but still relevant. I mean, Chucky has, I think he had a TV show like last year or something.
Shout out New Jersey, takes place in New Jersey. But yeah, I was same thing. My grandma or one of my aunts had a My Buddy doll, like before the Chucky, you know, scars and stuff. They had one of those like life-size ones, so he's like yay high. Scared me the fucking death. Like hated the movie, hated all the movies, hated the doll. They had to put the doll away whenever I was around and stuff. So yeah, that prompted me to never want to watch it, but I've since seen it.
I have a fear as a kid that's pretty funny, especially the better you know me, the funnier it is, I think. When I was a kid, I got a Nintendo 64, like my 5th birthday or so. 2 games, Super Smash Brothers. Well, 3 games because it came with Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racing.
Nice.
But Super Smash Brothers and Super Mario 64. Now, when you boot up Super Mario 64, I'm telling this for you because you don't know and people watching don't know, Mario's face pops up and he's like, hello. It's like a jump scare almost. My scared ass for like the first week or 2 I had an N64. I would need a family member or whoever was babysitting to turn on the N64 to get past this. Because it would always scare me. I'd run out of the room fucking screaming. And I think that's just so funny because I'm like such a retro game nerd.
So, question for the retro game nerd. Which Zelda was it? Was it the mask one where that scary scene was? Or like...
Well, with the moon coming down? Yeah, that's Majora's Mask.
When you boot up the game and they show the villain or whatever?
I think so, Skull Kid.
That used to scare me, and I used to have to walk out of the room and while my cousins and brother were playing, I'm like, start the game real quick. Let me go out of the room.
I get it, man.
I'll come back in.
I get it.
Yeah.
You know? I think for me, what was scary about it was the idea of him addressing me through the game. No, because
Hello, Nick.
Another thing that's kind of funny when you know me, like, you know, one of my favorite films is Man on the Moon, the Andy I was literally quoting it to you earlier today.
Yeah.
In the beginning of that movie is Jim Carrey breaking the fourth wall as Andy Kaufman, and that scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Why is he talking to me?
Yeah, exactly.
The people in the TV are saying things to me.
Like literally, we have that on VHS. I didn't watch it as a kid. My dad did. And then I picked up the VHS on a whim when I was 17. It's like 2012. And I watched it and I was like, oh, fuck, this is awesome. This is a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Became one of my favorite movies. Bought the DVD like right after I saw it,
Mm-hmm.
showed it to Mike and our friend Brandon. Kind of became like the jumping point for like that year of making stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Literally phase 2 of like my old little production name, New Wave, started because I watched Man on the Moon and Chaplin back to back across 2 days.
Nice.
So, and then I got dumped like the third day.
Oh, so you were in it then.
So at that point I was just like, I'm just going to go in on the weird art.
My
kid thing.
angst.
Yeah.
I must make art.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
like actually though. But you know, it's so funny because you're just like, oh shit. The things I was scared of as a kid are like my favorite fucking things now.
Mm-hmm.
Mario, Man on the Moon, even Scream. It's like one of my favorite horror movies I've seen in a minute now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't already, tell us what you think of Scream over in the comments. And if you want to, perhaps, share a different glaring admission on your bracket, roster, bucket list, whatever. And hey, maybe one of us haven't seen it and will want to do it on the show in the future too. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.